Alright, so in this video, I want to talk about lust, right? So a lot of men in today's society, man, we really struggle with lust, man. We got a lot of men out here that are gooning, watching pornography, jerking off, playing with themselves. And you know, it's very unfortunate because 30, 40 years ago, this wasn't really an issue, right? Because we didn't have all this social media, we didn't have all this easy access to porn, right? Like if you wanted to get your hands on some adult content or whatever, as you may call it, you know, back in the day, they had the magazines, right? That's the only way you would get access to it. Or if your parents had them channels on cable or whatever, that was the only way you was gonna get access to it. But now we live in a time where you could just watch that shit on your phone, right? You got a lot of men out here that are suffering from social anxiety and depression because they watch all this pornography, man, and it's making them feel like shit. A lot of these men that are watching this stuff, they don't feel good watching it. They don't. They're addicted to it. That's the issue. That's the problem. They are addicted to it, and they are controlled by lust. Lust is destroying their lives. And then this is also causing them to be very socially awkward, and these are also usually dudes that don't know how to socially interact with women in real life. And it also changes their perception and their relationships with women, because now, because their brain has been fried with all this pornography, all this sexual content, when they interact with a woman in real life, they shut down. They have no social skills at all. No badges, no social skills, no personality badges, no nothing. They're bots. They get in front of a girl and they shut down, man. They get all shy, they get awkward, and instead of looking at that woman like an actual human being, because that's what she is, she's a human being just like you, brother. She eats, shits, and sleeps just like you. She's no different. The only difference is the biology and the genitalia. But that's it. Y'all are both human at the end of the day, right? But because these men, they watch so much pornography, it fries their brain, and it literally changes their brain over time, right? And it causes them to look at these women in a very sexual way. So instead of viewing them as human beings, you instead view them as sexual objects or toys to pleasure you and get you off, right? That's why you dudes that jerk off and play with yourselves and be going crazy and shit, every time you finish, right, you don't feel good after you finish. You feel like shit. You feel shame. You always ask yourself, why the fuck did I just do that? Right? Because that's the thing. It feels good for that few 10 to 15 seconds. It feels good, right? When you're going crazy, right? It feels good in them 10 to 15 seconds, but right after it's over, you feel like shit, and you actually regret doing it. You wish you never did it, because deep down, you don't feel good about watching porn. Deep down, you hate yourself. You hate the fact that you're even addicted to this type of shit. So now over time, you start to resent yourself and you start to hate yourself because you can't get over this addiction, man. And it's not just men. You have women that have lust problems too. It's not just a male thing, right? Now, it's probably mostly men that are addicted to pornography, but you do have women out here that are also addicted to it as well, and also have a pornography addiction as well. So it's not just only a male thing, but mostly men do suffer from this issue, unfortunately. I'm a huge believer that if you are a man, right, and you have dreams and goals and passions that you want to achieve and you want to strive to achieve them, the first thing you need to do as a man is you need to overcome your lust. You need to beat that lust addiction, right? Lust is one of the biggest sins, and I would even go as far as to say that it is the biggest sin that men in particular struggle with. Lust has been the downfall of so many successful men in history, bro. In modern times and even in ancient times. Yes, even our ancestors struggled with lust. King Solomon in the Bible, he had sex with over 1,000 women because he couldn't control his lust. Shannon Sharp, right? This dude is almost 50 years old. Or is he 50 years old? I know he's around that ball range, right? This dude is in his fucking 50s. He's an ex-NFL player, very successful. He has his own podcast. He makes a lot of money, right? This dude paid a OnlyFans girl, and I believe the girl was 19. He paid a 19-year-old OnlyFans girl to have sex with him. So what does that show you, right? It shows you that even with all the money and success that this guy has, he still struggles with lust. He still cannot control his meat down there. He still thinks with his meat. Even with all the money that he has, he's still controlled by his lust. He went as so far as to pay a 19-year-old white girl at that. He paid a 19-year-old white girl, OnlyFans girl, to have sex with him because he can't control himself. He has no sexual discipline at all. We have so many examples of people that ruin their relationships with their loved ones, with family, with friends, or whoever. They ruin the genuine connections that they have with people because of their lust. They ruin business opportunities because of their lust, right? And this is why I say if a man cannot overcome his lust, he will never be successful. Never. He will always lose because lust will always be a man's downfall. It can be a woman's downfall too. Like I've said before, it's not just a male issue. It's a human issue. You know, it's unfortunate because you have a lot of men out here that have so much potential. They may have so many dreams and goals and passions that they want to achieve in life, but they're either too afraid or they just don't have the courage to go after these goals and dreams that they have because they're so insecure and ashamed of themselves. There's so many things that can go into it. Insecurity, low self-esteem, right? They just don't have the courage, the confidence to go after the goals and dreams that they aspire to go after. And unfortunately, because of these addictions that they have, right? Regardless of what that addiction may be, it could be a food addiction, it could be a drug addiction, it could be a pornography addiction, it could be anything. Now, I'm not trying to make this a race thing, but in particular in the black community, we have a huge lust problem, right? By the music we listen to, by the movies and TV shows that we watch. Everything is sexualized, everything, right? Our black women, our black queens are being degraded. They are looked at as sexual objects, sexual playthings, right? Instead of just being looked at as human beings, because that is what they are. They're human beings. They're not sex toys or sexual objects to get off to. That's not what they are. They're human beings. You know, we hear it in our music all the time. If you listen to a lot of rap music, then you for damn sure know that a lot of these rappers, all the fuck they talk about is how many bitches they fuck, what this girl did to them last night, spending a bag on a girl that they messing with, talking about all the things they gonna do to her in bed and all this extra shit, right? And, you know, some guys may look at that and they may not think that's an issue or a problem. Now, I'm not saying that it's particularly a problem, but it is something that does contribute to why a lot of men, in particular black men, are very lustful. And I don't think a lot of men really understand or take into account how these things can really have an impact on you subconsciously. You have a lot of men out here, right? They see a girl with a fat ass walk by and they can't help but to just break their neck and look at it. That's another sign that a man is still controlled by his lust. Now, I'm not saying you can't admire a woman's beauty, I'm not saying that, but you're looking at her in a lustful way, right? There's a difference between genuinely loving a woman for who she is as a person and looking at her in a lustful way. Or in simple terms, is a difference between seeing a woman for who she is as opposed to just seeing her as a sexual object to get you off sexually. But a lot of men, they confuse the two. And this is why you have so many relationships that are so dysfunctional and fucked up now. Because now, instead of the relationship being built on real, genuine love and connection, it's instead built on a transactional contract. I wouldn't even call them relationships. They're more like situationships. It could revolve around sex or money, right? Or both, right? Most of the time it's usually both, sex and money, right? And the relationship revolves around lust. That's why you have so many beta men out here that get with these OnlyFans girls and they get in relationships with them and they fuck these OnlyFans girls online and sexualize their own girl, right? Kind of like pimping them out basically online to make money. It's kind of like what Adam 22 did with Lena the Plug. And what's so interesting is, I could be wrong, but I heard they got divorced. If that's true, then that's tough. But if y'all do know about that, make sure y'all go in the comments and let me know if that's true or not. But I heard they got divorced. I don't know how true that is, but I might have to do my research. But yeah, man, Adam 22, he's a perfect example. He is a fucking cuck. He was letting his wife get cracked by wild other porn stars, right? And it just goes to show you the lack of self-respect that this dude has, right? He's willing to do anything to get money. He's willing to pimp out his own girl for money. His own girl doesn't even respect him, nor does she respect herself. She's out here getting piped by BBC all the time. That is a very sad and unfortunate situation to be in. And then what's even more fucked up about it is that they have a daughter. They have a kid. I'm telling you, man, we really live in crazy dysfunctional times, man. We live in a really weird and just fucked up society, man. You know, it's unfortunate, but that is the society that we live in, man. And this is why hookup culture, lust, all of this shit, man, it will be a lot of men's downfall. It really will. And until a man can overcome his lust and push through that shit and just completely get that shit out of his life, until he's able to do that, he will forever be chained. Like, he will never progress. He will never improve. Because all he will continue to think about is how many women he cracks, right? The next porn video he watches, jerking off, playing with himself, bragging to his bros about how many bitches he fucked. Just very low vibrational, superficial bullshit that really doesn't matter. That's the problem with a lot of these men, man. They think that by having sex with a lot of women, that makes them a man. It doesn't make you a man. But this is what society has pushed onto them to believe. They believe that their worth, their overall value and worth is tied to how many women they have sex with. When in reality, nobody gives a fuck about how many women you fuck. Society doesn't care. Society really doesn't care about how many women you've had sex with. That's not what really matters in life. And that's not what people are gonna remember you for when you die. To me, that stuff is very superficial and it doesn't really add no real value to my life. And it's certainly not something that I would want people to remember me by. If you conquer your lust, everything else will fall right into your lap. That is truly what I believe. If you conquer your lust and overcome that, everything else will fall into your lap. You should also want a woman that is willing to be by your side and help you and motivate you to achieve your goals and your purpose, and she's willing to be there by your side. And instead of being a distraction or being a hindrance to you, she's there to like also help you and guide you to be the better version of yourself, right? That's the kind of woman that you want by your side. A high vibrational woman that is tapped in just like you. And she's not a nuisance to you, but she's more of a blessing to you. You know what I mean? She doesn't add stress to your life. She adds peace to your life. That is the kind of woman that you want. But yeah, man, to all my brothers out there, man, don't give up. Keep chasing your purpose and control your lust, man. Control your lust. I promise you, if you control your lust and if you get over that, your life will be so much better and peaceful. And you will be successful as a man. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. you will be successful as a man if you can conquer your lust. And that's it. That's the end of the video, man. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video, man. I'm out.